What if I told you that the first 30 seconds after you wake up could completely change your entire day? Most people wake up and immediately check their phones, scroll through social media, or jump straight into worrying about their to-do list. But successful people do something different. They start their day by having a conversation with themselves. And not just any conversation, a powerful one that sets the tone for everything that follows.
Today, I'm going to share 8 powerful things you should tell yourself every morning. These aren't just feel-good phrases. These are scientifically backed statements that can rewire your brain for success, happiness, and resilience. By the end of this video, you'll have a complete morning routine that takes less than 5 minutes, but can transform your entire life. So grab a cup of coffee, get comfortable, and let's dive into these game-changing morning affirmations. The first powerful thing to tell yourself every morning is, today is a fresh start. Here's why this matters so much. Your brain has something called negativity bias. This means it naturally focuses on problems, mistakes, and things that went wrong yesterday. When you wake up and immediately remind yourself that today is a fresh start, you're literally rewiring your brain to focus on possibilities instead of problems.
Let me tell you about Sarah, a client of mine who was stuck in a cycle of negative thinking. Every morning she would wake up and immediately think about her mistakes from the day before. She'd replay conversations where she said the wrong thing. She'd stress about deadlines she missed. She'd worry about problems at working. This pattern continued for months until she started telling herself, "Today is a fresh start," every single morning. Within just 2 weeks, she noticed a huge difference. Instead of dwelling on yesterday's problems, she started focusing on today's opportunities. Her productivity increased by 40%, and her overall happiness improved dramatically. The key is to say this statement with intention. Don't just mumble it while you're half asleep. Take a deep breath, look in the mirror, and say it like you mean it. Today is a fresh start. The second powerful statement is, I am in control of my reactions. This one is absolutely critical because most people think they're victims of their circumstances. They believe that external events control their emotions and their day, but that's not true. You always have a choice in how you respond to what happens to you.
When you remind yourself that you're in control of your reactions, you're taking back your power. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're driving to work and someone cuts you off in traffic. Most people would immediately get angry, honk their horn, maybe even shout. Their entire morning gets ruined by this one incident. But when you start your day by reminding yourself that you control your reactions, something different happens. You still notice the person cutting you off, but instead of getting angry, you might think, that person might be having an emergency, or getting upset won't change what happened, or simply, I choose to stay calm.
This isn't about being passive or letting people walk all over you. It's about choosing your battles and not letting small things ruin your entire day. Research from Harvard Medical School shows that people who practice this mindset have lower stress levels, better relationships, and higher job satisfaction. So every morning, remind yourself, I am in control of my reactions. The third powerful thing to tell yourself is, I am capable of handling whatever comes my way. This statement builds what psychologists call self-efficacy. Self-efficacy is your belief in your ability to handle challenges and achieve your goals. People with high self-efficacy are more resilient, more motivated, and more successful in almost every area of life.
But here's the thing. Most people have never been taught to build their self-efficacy.
They go through life doubting their abilities and avoiding challenges because they're afraid they can't handle them. When you tell yourself, I am capable of handling whatever comes my way, you're building confidence in your problem-solving abilities. You're reminding your brain of all the challenges you've already overcome. Think about it. You've survived 100% of your bad days so far. You've made it through breakups, job losses, health scares, family problems, financial stress, and countless other challenges. Yet somehow, when you wake up in the morning, your brain forgets all of this. It focuses on what might go wrong instead of your proven track record of figuring things out. This morning statement changes that pattern. It reminds you that you're not helpless.
You're not fragile. You're capable, resourceful, and stronger than you think. I want you to think about a time when you faced a really difficult situation. Maybe you lost your job and had to figure out how to pay your bills. Maybe you went through a difficult breakup and had to rebuild your life. Maybe you had a health scare and had to navigate the medical system. Whatever it was, you handled it. You found a way through. That's proof of your capability. So every morning, remind yourself of this truth. I am capable of handling whatever comes my way. The fourth powerful statement is, I choose to focus on what I can control. This one is based on ancient wisdom from the Stoic philosophers, but it's backed by modern psychology research.
The Stoics taught that there were only two categories of things in life: things you can control and things you can't control. Things you can control: your thoughts, your actions, your responses, your effort, your attitude. Things you can't control: other people's actions, the weather, traffic, the economy, what happened in the past, what might happen in the future. Most people spend 80% of their mental energy worrying about things they can't control. They stress about what their boss might think. They worry about whether it's going to rain during their outdoor event. They get upset about political news they can't influence. They replay conversations from last week that they can't change. This is not just unproductive, it's actually harmful to your mental health. When you start your day by saying, I choose to focus on what I can control, you're directing your mental energy toward the things that actually matter. You're focusing on the areas where your effort can make a real difference. Let me give you a specific example of how to apply this. Let's say you have a big presentation at work today. Instead of spending your morning worrying about whether your boss will like it, or whether the technology will work properly, or whether your coworkers will ask difficult questions, all things you can't fully control, you focus on what you can control. You can control how well you know your material. You can control having backup plans ready. You can control getting enough sleep the night before. You can control practicing your delivery one more time. You can control your breathing and posture during the presentation.
When you focus on these controllable factors, two amazing things happen. First, you actually perform better because you've put your energy into preparation instead of worry. Second, you feel less anxious because you're not wasting mental energy on things outside your influence. This principle applies to everything in your life. Relationship problems? Focus on being a better communicator rather than trying to change the other person. Financial stress? Focus on your spending and earning habits rather than worrying about the economy. Health concerns? Focus on your diet, exercise, and sleep rather than stressing about things that might never happen. The fifth powerful thing to tell yourself is, I am grateful for 3 specific things. Notice I said 3 specific things. This isn't just general gratitude. This is targeted, intentional appreciation.
Research from the University of California shows that people who practice specific gratitude have better mental health, stronger relationships, and even better physical health. But most people do gratitude wrong. They say things like, "I'm grateful for my family," or "I'm grateful for my health." These are nice sentiments, but they're too vague to have a real impact on your brain. Instead, you want to be specific. Instead of, "I'm grateful for my family," try, "I'm grateful that my daughter hugged me extra long last night before bed." Instead of, "I'm grateful for my health," try, "I'm grateful that my body allowed me to walk up 3 flights of stairs without getting winded." Instead of, "I'm grateful for my job," try, "I'm grateful that my coworker helped me solve that difficult problem yesterday." The specificity matters because it forces your brain to actually recall positive experiences.
When you just say, "I'm grateful for my family," your brain doesn't have to do any work. But when you say, "I'm grateful that my daughter hugged me extra long last night," your brain has to remember that specific moment. It has to relive the feeling of that hug. It has to reconnect with the love and warmth of that experience. This process literally changes your brain chemistry. It increases the production of dopamine and serotonin, the chemicals responsible for happiness and well-being. Here's how to do this effectively. Every morning, think of 3 specific things that happened in the last 24 hours that you're grateful for. They don't have to be big things. In fact, research shows that appreciating small, everyday moments is more powerful than focusing on major events.
Maybe you're grateful for the perfect temperature of your morning coffee. Maybe you're grateful for the way the sunlight looked coming through your window. Maybe you're grateful for a text message from a friend. Maybe you're grateful that you found a good parking spot yesterday. Maybe you're grateful for a song that came on the radio that made you smile. The key is to be specific and to actually take a moment to relive the experience. Don't just list 3 things quickly and move on. Spend 10 to 15 seconds on each one, really appreciating the memory. The 6th powerful statement is, "I will treat myself with the same kindness I would show a good friend." This one addresses something that most people struggle with but rarely talk about: self-compassion. Most people are incredibly hard on themselves. They criticize themselves in ways they would never criticize a friend. They call themselves names when they make mistakes. They beat themselves up for not being perfect. They have a constant stream of negative self-talk running in their heads. But research from Dr. Kristen Neff at the University of Texas shows that self-compassion is one of the strongest predictors of mental health and life satisfaction. People who treat themselves with kindness are more resilient, more motivated, and more successful than people who are self-critical. Here's a simple test. Think about the last mistake you made. Now think about how you talked to yourself about that mistake. What words did you use? What tone did you take? Now imagine your best friend had made the exact same mistake. How would you talk to them? What would you say? How would your tone be different? Most people are shocked when they do this exercise because they realize how much harsher they are with themselves than they would ever be with a friend. When you start your day by promising to treat yourself with the same kindness you would show a good friend, you're setting an intention to break this pattern of self-criticism. You're choosing self-compassion over self-attack. This doesn't mean you lower your standards or stop trying to improve. It means you motivate yourself with encouragement rather than criticism. It means you recognize that making mistakes is part of being human. It means you talk to yourself the way a loving friend would talk to you. The 7th powerful thing to tell yourself is, "I will take action on at least one important thing today." This statement is about building momentum. One of the biggest reasons people feel stuck or unfulfilled is that they spend their days being busy without being productive. They check emails, attend meetings, scroll through social media, and handle urgent but unimportant tasks. But they don't make progress on the things that actually matter to them. Their important goals get pushed to tomorrow, then next week, then next month. Before they know it, years have passed, and they haven't made meaningful progress on anything that truly matters to them.
When you tell yourself, I will take action on at least one important thing today, you're committing to making progress on what matters most. Notice the phrase, at least one thing. This makes it manageable. You're not committing to solving all your problems today. You're just committing to taking one meaningful step forward. And notice the word important. This means something that moves you closer to your long-term goals, not just something urgent or easy. Here's how to make this work. Before you go to bed each night, identify one important action you could take the next day. Not 10 things, not a huge project, one specific action that would move you forward. Maybe it's making one phone call you've been putting off. Maybe it's writing one page of the book you want to write. Maybe it's having one important conversation with your spouse. Maybe it's submitting one job application. Maybe it's doing one workout. Maybe it's saving $100. The key is that it has to be specific, and it has to be important to your long-term success and happiness.
When you wake up and remind yourself of this commitment, you're setting yourself up to have a productive day rather than just a busy day. You're ensuring that no matter what else happens, you'll make at least some progress on what matters most. The eighth and final powerful thing to tell yourself is, I am exactly where I need to be on my journey. This last statement is about acceptance and perspective. Most people spend enormous amounts of mental energy comparing themselves to others and judging their own progress. They look at social media and think everyone else is ahead of them. They compare their behind-the-scenes reality to other people's highlight reels. They focus on how far they still have to go instead of appreciating how far they've already come. This comparison game is not just unproductive, it's destructive. It leads to feelings of inadequacy, anxiety, and depression. It makes you feel like you're not good enough, not successful enough, not happy enough. But here's the truth. Everyone is on their own unique journey. Your timeline doesn't have to match anyone else's timeline. Your definition of success doesn't have to match anyone else's definition. Your path doesn't have to look like anyone else's path. When you tell yourself, I am exactly where I need to be on my journey, you're practicing radical acceptance. You're acknowledging that your current situation, even if it's not perfect, is part of your growth process. You're recognizing that every experience, including the difficult ones, is teaching you something valuable. You're trusting that you're making progress, even when it doesn't feel like it. This doesn't mean you stop trying to improve or achieve your goals. It means you stop beating yourself up for not being further along. It means you appreciate the process instead of just focusing on the destination. It means you find peace with where you are while still working toward where you want to be. Let me give you an example of how powerful this mindset can be. I have a friend who spent years feeling frustrated because she wasn't as successful as some of her college classmates. They had gotten promotions faster, made more money, seemed to have perfect relationships and perfect lives. She was constantly comparing herself to them and feeling like a failure. But then she started practicing this morning affirmation, I am exactly where I need to be on my journey. Over time, she began to see her life differently. She realized that her slower career path had given her more time to figure out what she actually wanted to do.
She realized that her relationship struggles had taught her important lessons about communication and boundaries. She realized that her financial challenges had made her more resourceful and grateful. She stopped seeing her journey as wrong or delayed and started seeing it as uniquely hers. This shift in perspective didn't just make her happier, it actually made her more successful. When she stopped wasting energy on comparison and self-judgment, she had more energy to focus on her own goals. When she stopped trying to copy other people's paths, she started creating a path that was perfectly suited to her strengths and values. So every morning, remind yourself, I am exactly where I need to be on my journey. Trust your process. Trust your timing. Trust that you're learning what you need to learn and becoming who you need to become. Now let me show you how to put all 8 of these statements together into a powerful morning routine. Here's your complete 5-minute morning routine. As soon as you wake up, before you check your phone or get out of bed, take 5 deep breaths.
Then say each of these 8 statements out loud. Today is a fresh start. I am in control of my reactions. I am capable of handling whatever comes my way. I choose to focus on what I can control. I am grateful for, and name 3 specific things. I will treat myself with the same kindness I would show a good friend. I will take action on at least one important thing today. I am exactly where I need to be on my journey. Don't rush through these. Take your time with each one. Really think about what each statement means. Feel the truth of each statement in your body. If you want to make this routine even more powerful, write these 8 statements on a piece of paper and keep it next to your bed. This way, you don't have to try to remember them when you first wake up. You can just read them and really focus on the meaning behind each one. Some people like to look in the mirror while they say these statements. Others prefer to say them while they're still lying in bed. Some people like to say them silently, others prefer to say them out loud. Experiment and find what works best for you. The most important thing